Hello and welcome to the HBP Group Exchequer version 13 changes video. This video is intended to give you a top-level overview of all the new features in this version, but more complex help sheets can be found on our support portal or within the Exchequer install directory. The first thing to mention, as with any version, is that version changes can be found by going to Help and Help Contents, Installation Troubleshooting and Version Information, and Release History. You've got all of the release notes for all of the previous versions within here that you can refer to at any time. Also from this version, there is a new instructions folder that will sit beneath your Exchequer installation directory, and that will have useful PDF files for you to view and distribute to your team. So let's talk about enhanced screen lists. We'll take a further look at these, but basically they're there to allow you to manage how data is displayed and include extensive filters and sort options. It's available on all daybooks, but it can be turned off against each user profile by going to Utilities, System Setup, User Management, select your user, and there's a tick switch here for Enable Enhanced Lists. Within the screens, we can still resize and right-click and save coordinates on our screens. If I just close out of here and go back in, you'll see that it's remembered my screen sizing for this particular daybook. You can also click on any of your column headers to sort ascending and descending, and you can also move them around if you want to change the order. You can add new column headings in here by going to List Options on the right hand side, or by right clicking and going to List Options and selecting Configure Columns. It gives you a number of different columns that you can pop into there, so I might just want to drag job code into here. If I then decide I no longer want it, I can drag it out and get rid of it. These though are your standard columns, and you'll see that you won't be able to drag those out, but any new ones you can add and remove as required. You'll find that Sort View and the Find buttons over on the right hand side, they're now greyed out, and that's purely because the functionality is replaced within this new list screen. If you do want a Find option, just select Ctrl and F on your keyboard and you'll get this Find bar here. If I close out of the daybook and go back in, you'll see that that sticks, so that's now always there for you. The useful thing about this is that it will find across any of the column headers that you've got on here, so it's particularly useful if you've added new columns. It will search across those as well. You can also filter data, and to turn on the filter you'd go to List Options and Allow Filter. This works a little bit like Excel, so if we select, let's say on the account code, I might only want to see information from a certain account code. You can also do custom filters within here, and that's got all of the normal operators that you would expect to have. So let's just set that back to all for now. You can also set up groups. So let's say for argument's sake we wanted to group by account. If you just drag that column header into this blue section here, you'll see it will break down and give us the totals, the groups per account code. I might want to put a second grouping on there, so I might want to group it by status as well. And then we can see here that we're grouped by account code and then status. You can also total the groups from List Options, so if I go into here and select Group Total, so we see we've got one on there at the moment, and we can do a grand total as well, so we can toggle that on or off. You can also create more complex, in fact actually let me just mention, if you want to get rid of that grouping, just drag those back down again. So on to where I left off, you can create more complex customized filters by using the filter query builder down here. Now what that allows you to do is actually build up your own filter for you to save and use whenever you need to. So for example here, if I just decide I might want to change this and say I'm going to look for my account code, change my operator, and I want to say look for account code OLYM01. And then I might want to add another filter and say, we could say something like the username, for example, is equal to manager. I can save this filter. I'll just pop it in this folder for now, call it filter test. And then that can be loaded at a later date. And we can apply that filter as well. Okay. If I want to clear the filter, I can go to list options and within here, clear filter query. If I go back into my filter, that's where you've got the option to open any filters that you've created. So I'd advise creating a special folder for them somewhere where you can make sure that they're all stored in one place. You can also apply range filters. Now this applies to your history tabs only. You'll see at the bottom it's currently only displaying history for a certain date range. It'll by default just display that history for a year because it's unlikely that you'd want to go back and see any further. You can load older data by going to list options and range filter, and then you've got the option to put in a date range or period range to apply what you can see on there. At any time, once you've been working through these list screens, if you want to restore defaults, all you need to do is right click and go to properties and select defaults. That'll pop up a little message to tell you that you'll just need to close the window and reopen it. And then we're back to where we were with our default screen. At that point you can start resizing and reapplying filters again. One of the really useful things with this is you'll probably already be aware that you've got this Excel button here where any lists that are on screen you could have exported to Excel at any one point in time. Once you've filtered lists within here and got your group in however you want to show it, you can also export that by doing your list options, export to Excel, and I'll just call that test. I'll just go in and open that up so you can see what it looks like. So a lot of people I think probably will use these daybook filters rather than a visual report because you can get everything you want in the right grouping, in the right filtering, in the right sorting on screen and then extract it to Excel. You could then start using OLE functions around that if you wanted to build on top of it. One important note around daybook posting is that when you post your daybooks, that will still look at the unfiltered daybook. So even if you've got filters applied at the time for a specific account code, let's say, when you do your daybook posting, it's still looking at an unfiltered daybook. So it will still look at the whole data to daybook post it. And the logic for that is the same based upon if you've got a suspend set on the daybook for your daybook posting. So that was a really quick overview of the list screens, but I hope you see how they can become very beneficial and you can create some quite complex reports there and to help you with your reporting once you've exported to Excel. There's one other thing to note in terms of a version change within this version, and I'm just going to flick to my other Exchequer company because this is actually managed under the Exchequer system password. What this allows you to do, if I go into Utilities, System Setup and User Management, is you've got a button here called User Actions, and it's really a good thing to use if you've got a new starter that you want to set up and apply that to multiple companies that you might have set up on Exchequer. So you'd essentially select the username here of the existing profile, and from that I can create a new user, copying all of the settings that Demo's got. And at the same time I can say copy it to the selected companies below, so you're not having to go into each individual company and create that user, which is obviously very beneficial if you've got several companies on the MCM. You could say you wanted to use the selected username at the top and copy that user profile on top of another one that already exists, or you could say Actually, I just want to update an existing user that exists within here, but I know that they don't exist within the other companies, and I want to select them below. So that is something, as mentioned, that is only available under the system password. So if that's something that you're going to be setting up and you want to take advantage of, then just contact us on the help desk and we can provide you with a password. So that's everything on a top level summary covering those details. If there is anything else you need, of course, please do not hesitate to contact us on the HBP support help desk and we'll be happy to help. Thank you for listening.